Hey, beautiful souls and creative minds. Welcome to the Artist Stoop, the podcast where we turn the art world into your personal playground. I'm Jillian Zepeda, your host, and I can't wait to dive into the art world with you. Each episode will be kicking it with an incredible artist, unraveling their stories and turning the spotlight on the magic that happens beyond the brush. Get ready to discover new perspectives, forge connections, and immerse yourself one captivating conversation at a time. So grab your favorite beverage, maybe a sketchbook, and let's jump into the kaleidoscope of creativity together. This is the Artist Stoop, where art isn't just a thing you see, it's an experience you feel. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Artist Stoop. Today, I am thrilled to introduce Muka, a self-taught multimedia artist from Houston, currently splitting her time between Houston and Los Angeles. With a communications degree from the University of Houston, as Muka transitioned to a full-time artistry in 2020. She quickly gained recognition with Shockbox Gallery and Gallery 825, and her solo show Sugar Coated in 2022 marked a significant milestone in her career. Muka's vibrant work delves into the themes of the inner child, mental health, and authenticity, blending luxury and the everyday. Her art is featured in private collections worldwide and in the Los Angeles Contemporary Museum of Art Library. So we're excited to learn more about Muka and her journey today. So welcome to the podcast today, Muka.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I remember. Yes, I am very excited to have you on. Sorry. I was like, I found you at the other art fair in May, as most of my artists in the last couple that I've been interviewing have been from. And I remember you were actually one of the first booths that I stopped at during the show. And I remember I was walking down the aisle and you were sitting down and you were wearing your cowboy hat, and you said something, you noticed the baby first in the story. Everyone noticed Emilio first, and you're like, oh. And then of course we came over and we started talking, and I got to talk to you and hear about your story and some of your art, and yeah, so I was like, let's do this.
Yeah, that was, of course, like the baby is just the most gorgeous little thing ever. But yeah, it was super fun meeting you. Like, I feel like we hit it off right away, and you had like tons of great interesting questions. And yeah, I'm super excited to be on here and see kind of what we get into today.
Yeah. So how was that your first time doing the other art fair?
It was, yeah. I had been attending them for a while. I was living in LA for a while, and that's the first like Saatchi fair that I had gone to. And this was like a year before I decided to go into art. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I just saw the artists there as like, I don't know, I put them on pedestals, and I was like, wow, they're like, they've made it, and I'm gonna do this one day. I'm gonna be here. And yeah, I finally did it, and it was just kind of like a really cool, like, full circle moment for me. So yeah,
you aren't the only one. I remember my first other art fair attending to was in fall of 2018 in Santa Monica, LA, at the hangar.
The hangar.
And it's a cool place. It's a really cool place to have an art fair.
Yeah, and those are super cool because like, I know there's a lot of established artists at every fair, but the LA one is like, you've got some big names there. And so it's just really like, oh my God, like, I want to be part of this.
Yeah, that I had the same exact feeling because I had just gotten divorced, and I moved from Central Oregon down to LA, and that was like the first thing I did that first weekend I was there. And I did the same thing. I put those artists on pedestals. Like, that has always been my ultimate dream. I was just like, I am going to show at an art fair.
Yes.
And I did in Dallas. So have you shown, wait, no, this one was your first one. Duh, you just said that.
Yeah.
So how did you apply to the LA one, or did you just only apply to Dallas for now?
I just applied to Dallas. Just because, like, oh my God, logistics, like, even just shipping work to galleries for shows is so expensive. And I was like, there's right now there's it's just trying to
It's
ship
a
a
lot.
whole collection is going to be crazy. So
Yeah, so the drive from Houston to Dallas is a lot easier
yes,
than trying to
then
ship a whole
yeah,
packaging palette crate of artwork to a different city.
yes, yeah, with like no idea if you're even going to sell out or what that's going to look like. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
starting small.
Working right. Well, there
Yeah.
was one piece that definitely stood out to me that I absolutely love, and it cracks me up. It was the one with the horse on it, and it said
Thanks for the
you had the horse,
horse,
I wanted a
but I want a
Porsche.
Porsche.
And I love the horse, and like it it's a horse, and then you have like diamond like checkers on it. It's pink and black, and it's just playful, and it's really really fun. And of course, I love the saying, because horse and Porsche rhyme, and
Yeah.
it goes in hand in hand.
Yeah, that one, that's definitely my favorite from this collection that I've made, and I got a lot of really good feedback for that specific one as well. A lot of people are like, "Are you making prints of it?" And yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So tell us about tell us about that collection that was there, because it's not on your website currently. I know it's like on your Instagram and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was a really fun collection. You had cowboy boots, you had, the horses, you had like a variety of things, and it all had like this similar color palette of like the blacks and pinks, and it was like hot pinks and different shades of like light pinks and whatnot. And it was just a really fun, playful collection.
Hmm. Yeah, so that whole collection, I need to upload it to my website. Yes, I'm terrible at the other side of being an artist. But that collection came about because that I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised, but I moved to LA for a while. That's where I started my artist career. It's where I made it. That's where Muka lives basically. And then I moved back to Houston a year ago. And I just kind of been trying to find my footing back here as a creative because when I left, I wasn't into art and stuff. And so
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to find my footing as a creative. And I thought, like being back here, just as my own personal experience, like I forgot what Southern living and hospitality and culture was like. Like living in LA, it's so different. The people
Oh
are
yeah.
different. The culture is different. Like the vibes are different. And I'm like, I was trying to merge I grew a lot being in LA, and so I was trying to merge that Muka with the new Muka that now lives in Texas. And so I was like, these are still two parts of me that exist. They can coexist together, but let's see how we can make them kind of be sisters. And so I was like, I'm going to make a collection that kind of celebrates that, like the parts of me that are from LA and the parts of me that are from Texas, and celebrate like the new 2024 Muka. And so that's where that collection came about. It's very Texan culture. There's the horses, there's boots, there's hats, there's cowboys, and then it's mixed kind of like with a little bit of a luxurious touch, like the snarkiness, the sassiness, the girliness, the luxury part of LA, the fast life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's just kind of a way to merge my experience of LA culture and Texan culture.
I think and you did a great job doing it, and and you can see the fun in it. I think that's one of
Hmm.
the things like that you can clearly see, and it's not like, because I lived in Orange County for a long time. I went to school there. I'm originally from Oregon. I say I'm a Californian. California and Oregon combined. So it's just like, if you haven't been in Southern California, whether LA or Orange County, even those two counties that are right next to each other are still very different. But it's just like, you're right. It's that same level of luxury, kind of sass, snarky, kind of
Hmm.
whatever. It's almost like how when you mix it, it's almost like a level of sarcasm in it,
Yeah.
and like super playful, and almost like poking fun at it a little bit. And I think
Yeah.
that's what I love, because
it balances that line really, really
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a lot of fun making the collection, and of course like the colors are super bright. Like that's just staying true to the Muka brand. Like that's I mainly stick with bright colors and fun. I've been experimenting a lot more with fun like shapes and textures and stuff. So that's where you see like the checkers and the
Yeah.
horse and stuff like that. So it was really fun. It was definitely new. Like I usually like work with my main subject was teddy bears for like 2 or 3 years. So this was like my first deep dive into something that wasn't teddy bears. So I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, and so speaking of your color palette, because it is bright, but it it's not like, how do I put this? So the colors that you use that are bright, it has more of a pop art, pop culture kind of street art references to it, rather than like just having a whole bunch of bright, like, I want to say like super happy frilly colors that you see. It just like you blend it so it has with the dark, like the blacks and something, to make it on that contemporary pop art edge to it, to the brightness.
Hmm.
I think that's
Yeah,
the best way I can describe it.
yeah, it's like a grungy girly, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I love doing that. Like, I'm super, super inspired by the New York art scene, especially like the street pop art culture of like the 80s in New York. Um, and I just yeah, I try to make my work kind of look like that, like the grunginess, the drips, the
Yeah.
messiness of the charcoal. Like I love that look of like just the urban. Like it looks like it would be like wheat pasted on the side of a building in a downtown somewhere, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and then like the brightness, like it's just the color palette comes from like the running theme behind all of my work is the inner child. So when I decided to become an artist, I was like, you know what? Like I grew up in Houston, super conservative, Catholic family, just trying to do things the Southern Catholic way. And so I had to kind of live by the rules of tradition and a certain society. And so when I was like, I'm going to paint, I was like, I'm going to say everything that I wasn't allowed to say when I was a kid and put the ideas out there that were kind of like, shush, like, you don't talk about that. You don't, you know? And so, yeah, my work is mainly just like my inner child, even as an adult, like as adults, we still have an inner child, like
Yeah.
just getting out there and saying it. And so the colors kind of pay honor to that inner self that never really got to say what she wanted.
Mhm.
Um, and then, yeah, the messiness is inspired by like the New York art scene or just urban living, but also just like it's kind of a nod to like the messiness of being an adult. Like it's so sticky here, and there's so many red lines and tape and things are taboo and things are so it's just that everything.
No, and that's it. It's that's exactly, now that you explain that, it's just like you can start to peel away the layers of what you're seeing when you look at your work. And I think it's really interesting that like focusing on that inner child and like, finally being able to push back, like, you know, because I think you and I are around the same age, I'm gonna guess. So I'm just gonna guess that we're probably around the same age.
Probably,
And
yeah.
but before social media, before, we got to be kids, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one thing, because as a kid, yeah, we weren't allowed to say what we wanted or to speak, and we did have to still follow by all these, you know, societal norms that like our parents' generation before, like that. It's not like today's kids where they actually get to just speak and say what they want,
Hmm.
and we had to be like, yes, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am,
Hmm.
thanks,
Yeah.
and we still got to be kids, but it was just like there was still the level of innocence to
Hmm.
us as kids than like today's generation. So now, you being able to find your voice and go almost I would say like word vomit, but word vomit on these canvas.
Basically,
And
yeah.
everything you like, I'm going to say it now and I'm going to make sure everyone hears me.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Like, let's talk about the hard struggles, the mental health. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about our bodies. Let's talk about, let's say fuck. Like, we can say it if we want.
I use it frequently.
Some people need to hear it. Like,
it's a filler word
and,
in my language around here, unfortunately.
yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's really fun and playful that you get to do that. Is there a specific thing that, obviously you just mentioned like cursing, sex, all the things. Is there one subject in particular that like that you want to focus on, or like you have an idea for a next collection that you'd be like, oh, I really want to get this concept, this theme that it was really, really suppressed in me out?
Well, I'm currently working on a few collections. Like, I've tried to do like one collection, but my brain is misfiring
okay.
so much all the time.
You're allowed to work on multiple collections at a time. It's okay.
I'm part of like the undiagnosed millennial ADHD, whatever we have going on, the Pop-Tart Red 40 poisoning. Like, that's me. So, yeah, so I can't just focus on one thing. So working on a couple of collections. One of them I've already kind of debuted. It's called well, it had a name, but I'm switching it to synthetic dopamine. And that one is going to be about like I guess the seed of it is like drugs and alcohol, and using that as like self-medication as opposed to like facing reality, and like how we escape through those things instead of using them like for fun, and like that kind of dangerous slope. And so that's why it's called synthetic dopamine. I sent you the picture of one. It's the one, it's like the abstract piece.
Haven't looked at the email yet. Sorry.
Well, it's that one. I'm sitting in front of it. But that's that first piece. Like, there's some like real kind of detailed flowers in the background, and then in the foreground there's some spray painted really fun like big flowers that are kind of covering like the detailed flowers in the background, and there's all these fun colors and splatters. And that piece specifically tells like the story of like, that's the synthetic dopamine piece, and it tells the story of like there's real dopamine if you're really working on your mental health and working on your self-love and working on your emotional intelligence, and that's like the real detailed flowers. That's that's beautiful, and you will find true peace and happiness and joy and fulfillment as a person. But if you don't focus on that and you're over here trying to find joy and validation and things and people and drugs and alcohol and sex, it's more fun and it's bigger and it's a higher high, but it's fake. It's synthetic, and so that's what that piece is. But when you look at the piece, you don't see the realness in the back. You see the fun, and you're just like, wow, I love this. Like, this is so cool. But it's like, okay, well, you got to kind of hone it in and really work on things.
That, one, I love a good play on words. I love a good play on words. So props to the title. But no, I think that's really a really interesting subject, because I think also like even today in culture, just that not just, alcohol and drugs and stuff. It's just like, it's almost like the instant gratification, of things that, that we now as a society, like, we have to have things right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Even just uploading, like, if you don't get a like within a few seconds, you're like, oh, I'm a failure. No one likes that picture.
I know.
Like,
yeah. And it's just like having our TV, Netflix and whatnot, and like being able to binge, a whole series, in one sitting rather than having to wait a week for the next episode to come out and the summer to take off for the new season to start again, or commercial breaks. I don't know if as a child, if you were okay, commercial break,
Run to the bathroom.
Run to the bathroom. You go grab the snacks. It's back on. Everyone running back to the living room. Actually, I do have a quick, complete side note about this, and just maybe eating this. In college, me and my friends, where our apartment was, it was like down the street, just like around the corner was like a Baskin Robbins. Okay, it was a Baskin Robbins. Sorry, complete side note, everyone, but this is it goes with the territory. Okay, and so this was like what 2009, maybe 2010, I don't know. Vampire Diaries was on, everyone, okay? And me and my girl was like our one night that we would all sit down and we agreed on one show to watch together. And we're like, oh, we need something sweet, whatever. And it was like, okay, we had a discussion of what we were going to grab. It was a run to Baskin Robbins during the commercial break. Do not grab anything that needs to be scooped. It has to be from the container, like already prepackaged. Yep. Grab it and then run as back as we possibly. We had the change ready and everything, just throw on the counter and go. And I was just like, you don't have that level of excitement anymore to do it, because it's instant. It's like, oh, I'll just pause. I can watch this later, or stream the next thing. Or DoorDash it. It'll just be here in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You don't have that adrenaline of like, okay, the planning and everything. Like, so it's just interesting. Yeah. Sorry for my side note.
I remember. Where were we? I don't even remember.
Oh, we were talking about, your collection and the instant gratification and like the fakeness to the
instant
level
gratification.
And the fun and exciting that we get from, things that are fake. Yeah. I love that. So you jumped from, you were doing something before, and then you decided to now become a full-time artist during COVID, during 2020. So what were you doing prior, and what happened for you to make the leap from what you were doing to being full-time artist?
So I was doing a lot of things. I was doing the LA girl life, but I was like in social media managing. I was doing copywriting. I was personal assistant. I did PR. I did personal styling. All of that, all in one. And I still like do that, like on the side. But I don't know. It's just like kind of being out there and being around so many creatives and being a creative. It's just, it wasn't fulfilling. And I was like, you know what, like, I'm just going to go for it. Like, I'm young. I just moved here. I have really nothing to lose. I had, enough savings kind of last me a while. And so I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this now, because I'm not going to be doing this when I'm 40 and have, 3 kids. Maybe I don't even know. And so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to quit my job that I had at the time, and I'm going to go for this. And I started painting. Well, actually, I started painting like as a little hobby, like while I was working. And then I painted like it was like my body. It's 3 pictures of my body nude. And that was like kind of where like Muka, like the whole like inner child was born. Because I was like, growing up, it was like, you don't talk about your body, you don't show your body. You were, like, you're super discreet and classy. And I was like, well, I was always taught not to send my nudes, but no one said I can't paint them. And so I painted myself nude, and I looked at them when I was done, and I was like, these are actually like, these are good. Like, maybe I can like be an artist. And so that's when I painted those, I was like, okay, like, I think I have a shot. Like, I'm going to quit my job. And I started painting more and more. And I started looking for galleries where I fit. And then I just kind of launched from there. Like, I found one, I got into a show, and then it just kind of snowballed. And here I am. Like,
yeah.
I don't know how it happened. It just happened.
Yeah. So how therapeutic was that, painting yourself in that way?
It was good because like I've always had this kind of negative uh relationship with my body just because like I was always like the skinny girl. I'm still the skinny girl. Like I'm just that's just me. My genetics are I were just thin. And so I never really felt like I always feel like I'm like a child still. Like I don't look like a woman and I don't, you know, especially nowadays with all these like beautiful Instagram girls and there's all these enhancement surgeries and like I feel so like left behind and all the men pay attention to those girls and those girls are only friends with those girls and I just like when I painted myself I was like it just kind of opened up like a different appreciation for my own body and I was just like wow like it's beautiful like just to be able to paint myself and like see myself as art it was like really eye-opening and kind of shifted my perspective a little bit on my own body but also on like other people's bodies like not to like don't comment on people's bodies whether it's beautiful or not I think that's just not a place like don't just leave it alone.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also just like being able to paint myself nude and like for a long time I didn't tell people that it was my body. They would be like, "Is that you?" I'd be like, I'm not at liberty to say it could be someone else, but yeah, it's me. Like it is me, and I'm gonna paint. I'm gonna keep painting myself nude. I don't care.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't care,
extreme.
Mom. Look at it.
Yeah, it's extremely liberating. I've done the same thing, and my parents have looked at things and they're like, "Oh, that's cool, that's great." And yeah, because I've always painted the woman's body, and like, there's a couple times where I've definitely snuck my own body in. There is, and growing up, because I was always kind of on the chubbier side, even though I kind of an athletic build, but I'm also mexy, so I do have I have a butt and bigger thighs, and I was never the thin girl, so. I too got to the point where I started painting, myself or other women's bodies, like getting to appreciate the difference in it. And
Yeah.
there's just this liberation in it. And the woman's body is just so beautiful and all the shapes and curves and the differences. And, yeah, so I'm right there with you on that. Like it,
Yeah,
it's a magical
it's
moment when you do it, I think.
it is very therapeutic and like it actually like segued me that piece. I hadn't painted, well, I painted a few more like nude pieces, but for my solo show, I actually did like nude photography of myself in a teddy bear head. It was done tastefully, obviously. I'm not, nothing's like showing, but um that was also like that was like the next step I think that I was headed towards and it was like kind of nerve wracking because my brother went to the solo show and I was like, don't look at the photos, please. But yeah, it's just it's a I if artist if you haven't, I just like encourage you guys like try to draw yourself, paint yourself, nude, photograph yourself. Like it's a strange feeling. I can't even explain it. Like it's just it gives you a
Yeah,
new perspective.
yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
it's your own. You already know all the bits and pieces. You're just looking at it from a completely different angle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
So
agree. Yeah, I second that. If any artist listening, do it, and you will be surprised on how your mentality about yourself changes.
yeah.
So tell us. So the two galleries, Shoebox Gallery, which actually I have been to.
Shopbox.
Shopbox, sorry. I still get emails.
Shopbox.
Yeah, Shopbox. I have it was the owner's is his name Mike or Mark or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Might call him.
Yeah. I still get emails from that. I've been to that gallery when I still lived in
Oh, awesome.
LA. It was a long time ago. But yeah, I do know that gallery. So
Oh, that's cool.
how did you just be a part of that and how did that process go for you? And like everything.
Yeah, so I found them because when I was first like diving into being a full-time artist, I would just scroll on social media all day, like on hashtags that matched my artwork. So I'd like look at the hashtags like street art or like contemporary galleries and things like that. And so through doing that kind of research, I found Shopbox. And they have like a similar style, like it's
Mm-hmm.
very like outsider art kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to apply to this gallery. I think my art would fit here. I applied. I got into the show. That's the first time I had ever shown my work. And I just kind of stuck around. Like Mike and I built a pretty solid relationship. And like I built a relationship with all the other program artists that were there already. And I just kept applying to the shows and slowly kind of strengthening those relationships with them and the gallery. And eventually, Mike asked me if I wanted to be a program artist there and they could like represent me. And I was like, I would love nothing more than that. And so I became a program artist and then slowly just kind of, just again, just continuing to strengthen the relationship, continuing to market myself as an artist, making a lot of sales through them. Um, and then just kind of like putting in the work to kind of to put value in myself as an artist to the gallery too, because it's also business,
100%.
Um, but then just, through working hard through that, then eventually he asked, like, do you want to be like part of the jurying of, helping find new artists to be part of the gallery? And so I was like, yeah, of course. So I did that and then started curating like the shows with them. And now we're here.
That's really cool
Now we're
because
here.
it's just like, one, I think, there's a lot of different ways that an artist can go around being an artist, especially today. And there's
Yeah.
something special. I think that, getting that first acceptance from a gallery of any kind,
Yeah.
saying, we like your work, we'll take that one piece, or because it's probably like a call and you probably had to submit like 1 or 2 works or something to be part of a group show, and then
Yeah.
build up from there. And even people are like, oh, you don't need galleries today, you don't need galleries today. And well, it's true, you don't, but also there's a sense that you do, especially kind of still starting out and you want to get your name out there a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
there's something really special about having, as an artist, going, okay, what I'm doing is right. What I'm doing is good. Someone else
Yeah.
besides my mother is solidifying the fact that my work is valid, that it has meaning, that
Yeah.
it's good quality, and I still think that there is, a place for galleries doing that and helping find artists.
Yeah, 100%. And just like, even just building your network, like I
Mm-hmm.
always talk about how like being an artist can be very like lonely and isolating just because, we're focused on our own work, but building a network, not just professionally, but with other artists, like it's really important because you're all going through the same thing. It doesn't matter what kind of art you're making. We're
Mm-hmm.
all feeling the feelings and we're all pouring ourselves and we're all exhausted the same, and so I think it's really important and it's a good way to find that network through like finding a gallery that you fit in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and networking is like one of the main things that you have to do as artists. And it's
Yeah.
like, telling, and unfortunately it's telling, here, all of these introverts, go out and make friends with people, go introduce yourself. And you're like, that is absolutely terrifying. Why
I
would I
hate
do
it
that?
here.
Why
Yeah,
would you
people are
force
like,
me
what
to
do
do
you
that?
do? People are like, what do you do? I was like, I'm in marketing first. I'm also an artist. Like, yeah, it's terrible. The Saatchi Art Fair, as fun as it was, like I was dead. Like that was the worst situation you could ever put me in, is just like you by yourself representing your own work to hundreds of people a day. Like, it's
Yeah.
exhausting.
Plus being on your feet or in a kind of a half-assed stool and
Yeah.
having to be on. Like, you have to be
Yeah.
on. You can't, oh, there's no word.
Yeah.
It really exhausts me. The same thing
Explaining your
over and
work
over
over
again.
and over. It's just like, well, my work's all about mental health and trauma, so let me just relive my trauma 100 times. So makes sense. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, it's hard work. And then after that, you have to go and unplug and say, people don't talk to me for 2 weeks. I need to recover.
Yeah, even now, like I'm on a social media break. You haven't seen any posts from me because I'm just like, I can't right now.
Yeah. It's exhausting. And I
Yeah.
think that's one thing that like people who are artists, when we as when people ask us, oh, what do you do for work? And you're like, I'm an artist. That's just they think probably, oh, you just go and paint. Like,
Yeah.
no,
No. We
no.
market, we're assistants, we ship work, we research, we,
We're
network,
accountants,
we
or network and marketing.
accountants, yeah,
We're
social media
photographers.
managers, yeah, photographers, editors, like we
It's
do
a
it
whole
all. And unless you have an assistant, like, oh God,
it's
it's a
it's
whole
a
production.
it is a whole production. It's just like, and how much of that time, and say we worked a normal 40 hours, which most artists don't. We work more than 40 hours. We probably work multiple hours
Yeah.
here and there every day. And it's exhausting, and you're never not working, you know.
Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse to be a creative, I think, because even when I'm not in my studio, or even if I'm not answering emails or working on a social media post, like I'm always thinking about it all the time, like, oh, this would be a cool piece, or I should add this, or I should do this, or this is my next collection. And even my friends, I'm like, I'm so sorry, this is all I talk about, like,
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, like let me write this down, and like yeah,
Yeah.
it's never ending.
It,
Even in
it
my dreams, I wake up and I'm like, oh, that would be cool, like for a piece, and
uh, yeah, no, totally understand. Like
never
today,
ending.
I was just washing my hands, and all of a sudden I got this thought was, what does a teapot represent? Like, metaphorically, physically, like, and I
Yeah,
went on this whole, like, in my head, obviously, and then I came out to my husband. I was like, so what are your thoughts on a teapot? And he's like, what?
yeah.
And I was like, a teapot, like a delicate, like, teapot. Like, and he's like, I don't know, Jill.
I don't know.
I was just thinking about teapots and what they represent, and if I could paint a collection about them. I don't know where it came from, but it's just like the
Yeah,
most random thought that popped into my head. I don't have a teapot.
yeah. I get it.
Um,
Ugh.
yeah, that's what it is. So you being a potential curator for gallery and an art juror, that's something that most artists don't typically ever get to be part of. So how has like that shifted your perspective? One on do you change your perspective on how you do your work then that you would submit to a gallery, or has it not changed at all? And how do you like being part of that process on the other side?
I love being on the process of the other side. It's really inspiring to me, just to see like all the art that comes in, and like seeing people's perspectives. And sometimes they'll write what the art's about, and it's given me like ideas for my own work too. Um, but it also has it changed the way that I apply? I don't think so. I think mainly it's I learned a lot of tips, like when it comes to how you photographed your work, because now being on the other side, I see what galleries see. And so it's just like you really have to be diligent on how you photograph your work and making sure that it's represented, because that little picture, that's all you get.
Yeah.
Like some galleries aren't going to take the time to really learn about you or even read the description. It's just that picture. So you got to make sure that picture is high quality and it's on its A game. But what was the other question?
No, you were answering it.
Like, what did
Yeah.
you ask?
Does it change
Uh,
how you approach your work so that when you do apply, like to other galleries, has it
yeah,
changed?
yeah, just yeah, not really. It's given me like more insight on like what I could be doing better. For example, taking better pictures and framing them better. Um, but yeah, I absolutely love doing that part of it, and like again seeing all the work, seeing it's funny seeing like new, because sometimes you get like the same artists applying, so it's fun seeing how they're growing, like as each time they apply. But also it's fun seeing like the new artists. Sometimes I'll go and like look the artist up too. And like you can tell like a novice artist sometimes, like not all the time, some people are just incredibly talented, but sometimes you can tell like just in like the way they do their drips is very they're still in like the amateur stage, or you can tell they don't have very many layers and things like that. So it's really fun to see like artists developing and seeing artists at the start of their career, seeing artists that are, more seasoned. It's fun. Like I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I bet that would, I think I would enjoy that a lot as well, because it's just like, and like doing this, being able to talk to
Mhm.
so many different kinds of artists and different stages and phases of their careers. It's just like, I'm even learning so much, like in this conversation, I've learned from you already that I'm going to take a little nugget back and like put it
Hey.
in my little, my little box for myself. Um, and it's a lot of fun to grow from other artists. They always say that phrase, like, to steal
Yeah.
like an artist, and it's true. It's just, and it's not technically stealing. We're just learning from one another, and we're like riffing off of each other, and just
Yeah.
we're just helping each other level up.
Yep. I think all art is derivative in some way, shape, or form. But like finding your voice and how you're, you know, deriving these ideas, I think that's really where you start to shine. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's okay to be derivative, it's okay to have inspiration, but you really got to find your voice in there, and
Yeah.
that's when the magic happens. But also another thing I wanted to know about like being on the other side of like on the curator gallery side of it is like it's given me a lot of insight and a lot of peace and like acceptance of rejection when I apply to galleries or museums or shows or things. Like I used to get really down on myself when I would get rejected. I'd be like, oh, like I guess I wasn't good enough. I gotta work on stuff. But it's not about that at all. Like now being on the other side, there are so many applications. Sometimes there's so many reasons why you weren't accepted to a show. And it's not always because your work wasn't good enough. Like we have to deny a lot of great work for hundreds of reasons. Like either we were full, or maybe your work is amazing but it just didn't quite fit our idea for this prompt, or your work was too big or it was too small, or it was there's so many reasons. It has nothing to do with your ability or your talent as an artist. And so now that if I get rejections, I'm like, okay, well, as long as I know that I submitted my best work, I'm not going to take it personal. Like there's so many things. Again, at the end of the day, art is a business, and there's so many things that go into it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because it's a business. The galleries still have rent to pay. They have employees to pay. They have like a slew of things. So if they decide like, oh, I need to make X amount of dollars to keep this business up and running, and in order to do that, I need to make sure that I am picking the best quality pieces that I know my clients, their collectors, are going to purchase.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it is a money game. It's a business. People they need to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that, And I think it's healthy, because at the end of the day, us as artists, we need to make money too.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like just a tidbit, if other artists are listening, like if you do get rejections, like it depends on the gallery. Some of them won't answer, but like don't be afraid to reach out and ask like can I get some feedback like on how I can make it into the next show, or what about my work? Like, is it a price point thing? Is it a size thing? Like a lot of galleries, you'd be surprised on how helpful they are. And a rejection doesn't have don't put too much weight into a rejection, basically.
Yeah. I think that's really, really great advice, because I've been rejected a lot, and and usually I get the email, you don't have enough time to respond to everyone. There's usually a very loving, well put email together that they in their rejections, and it's true. At first, like when I started submitting work, back in 2015, 2016, it's just like, it was just rejection after rejection. So it's just like, man, it just got to the point where it's just like, okay, just gotta keep moving, gotta keep creating. And
Yeah.
I do think like something that you did say, the finding your voice, finding your style. One, it's like one of the hardest things that you can do as an artist. But when you do find it, and you do know why you're creating and what your themes and your messages are, you end up creating the most honest art. And
Yeah.
and then that's when everything really clicks and comes together. And then you'll start hearing those yeses, in between all the no's.
Yep.
Yeah.
100% agree.
So do you typically work in collections or one-offs?
It's kind of a mix. Like I said, I work on multiple collections at a time. And so it's like one will pop out here and then one will pop out here, but then they end up being part of collections. So
Yeah.
both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah.
No, that's
A
totally
little bit of both.
totally awesome. And that was another thing that someone early on told me that I like while I did get rejected from a show. Sorry, if we're gonna throw in artist tips here, we might as well just keep this train going.
Yeah.
Was you as an artist, it's better to work in collections more than one-offs, because if you work in a collection, our art galleries can then see themes of work and a full body of work of trying
I'm
to
not sure if I froze too.
bring your ideas and concepts together, rather than just having
I
a random
cannot
piece
hear
here or a random
you.
piece there and whatnot.
Okay, wait.
Did you hear all that, or
You
did I break
completely
it?
froze on my end, so
Okay, I'll say it again. My
you
internet
broke up.
switched
All I
over.
heard was having a
It's okay. I'll say it again. I can edit this part out. No, a gallery once told me, actually, I think it was a person who was part of an art fair that I was working with, and he was helping me put my pieces together for the show. He told me it's always better to work in collections rather than just having random one-offs, because then it shows a full body of work. It shows a complete theme, an idea of like a well put out thought. And so when you work in collections, you're able to build on that, and then galleries can see like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing. They can see their growth. They can see that they aren't just throwing paint on as on a canvas. Like there is actually well thought out ideas that they're presenting.
100%. And like, I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever taken like a sales class or a sales course. Like the number one thing, like again, art is a business. Like I know it's our passion, but like if you're gonna do this, if this is your moneymaker, like art is a business first. It's that's what the galleries want. Like I'm sure the owners have passion for it too, but they're there to make money. And so the number one thing in sales is to make a sale. Like you got to have a story. People love a storyline. That's how you're going to make a sale. That's how people are going to relate. And so, if you have a storyline and a well thought out collection of work, that's where they're going to resonate with your work, and they're going to be more inclined to buy it, and galleries are going to be more inclined to show it. And people take you more seriously.
I do. It's weird. It's weird how just making that jump from I'm an artist painter, here's a whole bunch of my paintings, to making collections, and it's that one little jump is like it changes the entire game as an artist.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to go to your studio and hammer out like 10 pieces, but some artists take years, decades for a collection or a series. Like, it's just, but have that storyline. And it's okay to work on multiple collections at once too, but like make sure that your work has a place to go. That's how you do it.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I'm glad that, we in this episode, we just talked about you as the artist, but then we brought in some business tests, some business for the artist. I think that's really interesting because you do have that unique perspective of being on the other side, that, most artists don't get to have. And, what, we as artists are always wanting to know,
Yeah,
so I appreciate you bringing those tidbits to us.
of
uh
course.
well, Muka, if people did want to find you and buy your work or see your work, where can they do that?
The easiest way is going to be going to my website, www.artbymuka.com, and you can go to the shop button and it'll take you to Saatchi or Artsy. Those are the platforms I sell on. Or if you'd like to buy a print, there's a print button that you can click, and then I have limited edition prints and then open edition prints for sale. And you can also find me on Instagram at artbymuka.com, or not .com, just at artbymuka on Instagram.
Your handle, your gram handle.
At my handle. And then both my Instagram and my website will have contact information there. So if you guys want to get in touch for anything, send me an email or shoot me a DM, and I'm always happy to respond with, obviously, if you want to buy something, I would love that. But I love helping other artists. Like, I wouldn't be here without the hands of many artists and gallery owners and collectors pulling me up. And so I love to be that for people when I can too.
Awesome. Love that. Love that. Because, I think I always believe in paying it forward in that sense. And it's just like, if there's anything that I, as an artist, can do and turn around and look at other younger artists who want to be artists and go, here's what I've learned. I'll save you some heartache.
Yeah.
and a whole lot of Google researching. I'd love to share my advice,
Yep. I learned the lesson, so you don't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the episode today. I learned a lot, and I hope our audience, artists, and collectors did too. So thank you so much for coming on this episode. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
I love them.
And that, my friends, wraps up another colorful episode of The Artist Stoop. A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their art and stories. If you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next Stoop chat. And don't forget to spread the love. Share your favorite episodes with fellow art enthusiasts, and let's build this community together. Connect with us on social media at JGuze Studio and Jillian Zepeda Art for behind-the-scene peeks, artist spotlights, and a sneak peek at my own art. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and keep that creative fire burning. This is Jillian Zepeda signing off from The Artist Stoop. And remember, the world is your canvas, so paint it vividly.